Hey guys, Michael of the Michael Zone, Lu3 here. I've been posting on Instagram for a bit, and it seems like you guys really like, the repair stuff I've been posting. But I thought it'd be fun to do something a little bit more long form for the real repair heads out there. I'm also a big fan of Mr. Ted Woodford, so consider this my homage. I'll try and speak as well as he does, but yeah, it's my first time. Give me a break. So here we have an Art Lutherie guitar that the bridge seems to have decided to leave. It fell off. It was pretty much hanging on by a thread, and I was able to get it off with no heat. I just poked my palette knife in there, and it popped off. So the reason is because it was glued to a thin layer of finish, which is plastic. Wood doesn't like to glue to plastic very well, and it's only a matter of time before it falls off. So before the bridge came off, I scored around it and marked where the edges of the visible portion would be. So now I am cutting back the finish to those points to ensure maximum glue bond. It takes a long time. You got to be careful. If you go too far, it just doesn't look that good, and other luthiers will make fun of you. I will make fun of you. Now we're going to sand the underside to get rid of any little flakes and create a more uniform surface for the glue up. I don't know if you noticed, but it looks like the factory had a little some of those holes have been plugged and re-drilled and are kind of irregular. Don't worry, I'm not going to tell anyone. It can be our little secret. Just trying to make it as neat as possible. Okay, now it's time to clean up the underside of the bridge. So we're going to clean up all that dried epoxy and wood fibers. Basically want to give it its best chance of having a good bond with the top of the guitar. I'm using a card scraper. You could use a sanding block. You could use, whatever you want. This card scraper is very dull. I need to sharpen it, but I do not know where I put my sharpening tool, and I don't want to go look for it. Also, if you're hand holding it, because my vise is in a bad spot to film, maybe you don't want something super sharp. Did I mention that the Michael Zone is OSHA certified? So here's a piece of self-adhesive sandpaper that I stuck to the top of the guitar. I cut it up in the shape of the bridge, so I'm basically using the top of the guitar as a mold to sand the bridge to. This process takes a long time. It is not particularly interesting. It's time to put on a podcast, call your mom, do whatever. It's going to take a while. I think it usually takes about 20 to 25 minutes, unless it's really messed up, in which case it could take, up to an hour. As I'm going along, I keep marking with a yellow crayon to track my progress. So you can see here I'm almost done. Just the little bits of those wings is not getting hit by the sandpaper. So let's keep going. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. AI will never replace this. So you might be wondering why they didn't do this in the factory, and I think it's pretty self-evident. It's because it takes forever, and that would eliminate all profits. The sounds of Lutherie. Okay, just gonna clean it up, do one final pass just to triple check that everything looks good before I take off the self-adhesive sandpaper. So now I'm going to peel up the sandpaper that I put there and test my fit. Look at that beautiful fit. I've never seen a fit so good. Okay, so now we're going to be waxing off the screws to make sure that they do not stick to the bridge when we glue it, because there'll be a lot of glue, it'll be a little bit of squeeze out, and it's just easier to not have your screws be glued to the guitar. So we're going to thoroughly cover all the parts that will be within the vicinity of the glue with this beeswax. You could use paste wax, you could use clear packing tape, anything that will resist glue. You don't want to use anything like an oil because that will get everywhere and might compromise your bond of the bridge glue that you're doing. So here I'm using fish glue to glue the bridge back on. You could use Titebond, which is like carpenter's glue. You could use hot hide glue, which is kind of a more vintage accurate adhesive. I wouldn't use super glue or anything that dries instantly. I wouldn't use epoxy because that's hard to get off. Fish glue is nice because it comes off with heat if you ever need to remove the bridge again. So here I am applying a very generous coating to the bottom of the bridge. I want to make sure there's a little bit of squeeze out everywhere on the bridge because that'll let me know that the glue has gotten everywhere that it needs to go. Then once that's done, I'm going to apply another coat of glue to the part of the guitar top that the bridge will sit on. Once again, it's okay if there's a bit of squeeze out. Fish glue is very easy to clean up. Just a little bit of warm water and it reactivates and you can wipe it off. For this reason, I wouldn't recommend, again, super glue because if it gets onto the top, there's no way getting it off, and that would be bad. So here I am attempting to set up my bridge clamping jig under the watchful eyes of Eric Guy, who keeps supplying me with these pads of paper, which is very nice. I use them all the time. So my clamping jig secures into place basically with two long bolts and some nuts. Sometimes if the bridge isn't normal or if it's a classical bridge, I'll use some long clamps, but it's kind of nice not to have to take 4 or 5 clamps out and set them all up, This is one solution and it's done. So I'm just tightening it up. I'm not making it super tight because I might have to adjust it slightly once everything is set up. And here I realized that I wasn't getting quite the squeeze out I wanted out of the treble side wing of the bridge. So I'm just adding a little bit more fish glue and I'll make sure to clean up that squeeze out before it's dry. Now I'm going to tighten everything up because I think I have it, lined up with that tape, which is where the old bridge was. Setting up these little pieces of wood blocks that will serve as cauls for the edges of the bridge, the wings. Tighten those up, readjust. Check that squeeze out. Now I'm just checking that it is in fact square with the fretboard. Sometimes they put these on crooked from the factory. It's usually okay, but we might as well do it right if we're re-gluing it. Looks pretty good. So now we're just going to tighten everything up and tighten the little wooden cauls at the edges of the bridge to ensure that the whole bridge has equal pressure and will make a good bond. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Bridge re-glue. If you do it well, you'll get another one to do tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed the video and see you next time.